So human design is a tool. It's a little woo-woo and a little practical. It gives each person their individual signature of how to make choices that are in alignment with who you are determined to be in this world.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this special two-part episode with our guest, Kat Fong, human design specialist, who's going to be going through Georgianna and her kids' charts. This episode is all about human design and parenting. Find Kat's info in the description and enjoy the show.
Well, hello, I'm Georgianna.
And I am Kat, and I'm so happy that you're all with us today. As we, Georgianna and I, start our new journey, which has been, many seeds have been planted over the 16 years we've known each other. And I'm so thankful that you're here with us, listening and learning, and where we get to create a space for you to discover something new or something old or something blue. What's that, guys?
Something about something new, something old, and something blue. That's about getting married, right?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know the blue part, but I'm very committed to the something new and the something old because there's wisdom in both.
Well, we're not getting married, you and I, but this is a union. It's a coming together that, like you have said, has been 16 years in the making.
Yes.
Do you want to say a little bit about how we met or how the first seeds got planted?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I was a very green 23-year-old. And I think what it was I walked into this office and we were both working at a nonprofit together. And there you were sitting cross-legged in an office chair, as many people do, myself included. And you had huge markers and you were working over top of one of those big Post-it note boards. And I remember being like, there is something about that person of which I need to discover for myself. And I didn't know you, and we didn't work in the same department. And I remember mustering up the courage as a female who was trying to make new friends. And I walked over to you and I said, "Hi, I'm Kat. Do you like noodles?"
It's like you were speaking my language right away.
And I didn't know if you like noodles, but I was like, that's going to be my opener. And it worked.
It worked. I said yes.
We went for noodles.
We went for noodles, and the friendship began.
It did. And it regularly includes a variety of different noodles, foods, and dumplings, of which we base most of our conversations about.
Yes, except, today, maybe we won't be talking too much about dumplings, but that conversation will come one day. But yeah, we met 16 years ago as, well, I was a parent support counselor. You were a victim support?
Yeah.
So we have been in this support and healing profession for a long time. We love helping people. What did you call us? Insight and what kind of junkies?
Oh, insight and transformation junkies.
I will take that badge. I will say, hello, my name is, and I'll take that. I'm proud of that.
I feel like as we've matured, it's become evolution in action. It's really just digging deep and looking into the parts of us that are scary or confronting, and having the courage and bravery in ourselves and with others and with our listeners right now to go into what some of us call the dark night of our soul.
Yeah.
And know that we as individuals are strong enough to pull ourselves out, to have people to help pull us out. And I think that if I could encapsulate our relationship, our friendship, and our union, it has been examples of that and experiences of that over the last 16 years.
Yeah, really learning how to drop the protective shield of keeping people close but a bit away, right? To not see the messy, vulnerable parts and to trudge along and be independent and be capable and do all the things on our own and not ask for help. And we've both had highs and lows where we have had to ask each other for help and help each other and cry some ugly tears together.
And I think also on the flip side, we've also had the courage to try new things. I remember when you and I were trying to be in a band together.
I almost forgot about that. We did try to be in a band together. We did.
It's just an aspect of self that came through for a moment in a very safe place.
Yeah.
It showed up and it was like, not us. And
not us. That didn't take off.
No, that didn't take off. Our band did not take off.
I have the thing here, sitting here, that I don't even know the name of the thing. That's how far I got into it. It's a furniture piece right now, a pretty one. But you had borrowed a violin from the library. Is that right?
I sure did.
Yeah. So Kat and I are all about feeling the impulse, and honoring it and exploring it together, letting life just show us what sticks and what doesn't. And I often bring something to hold when I am on a recording on an episode. And I first picked this up. I'll show it to you. It says, and I got this because of you. And it says, imagine possibility.
Oh.
Because that was one of our things, right?
Yeah.
About possibility and imagining what's possible. And we once imagined that we could be in a band together. And now we know it's still possible, but it's not really the thing that lights us up anymore.
I think we'd have a very select number of listeners, family members only, really. For those of us who are listening and not watching, Georgianna pulled out a rock that had written on it. What was it?
Imagine possibility.
Imagine possibility. And I think that where that shows up in our relationship is through play.
Mm-hmm.
In weaving play, imagination, possibility, creativity, and love all together as a human trying to be in this world and be for others. And I know a lot of our listeners are everything to everyone. And this is the opportunity for them to be a little bit more for them.
Yeah. I really think that is possible. And I think one of what lights me up about our connection is this is the place where I really feel that my inner child gets to wake up and come out and play. And you bring out a playful spirit in me. I think I do the same for you. And we were not raised in households where play was central or encouraged. At least, like, I know you're the youngest of many children, but I'm the oldest. And for me, definitely play was not on the table. So I feel like you're very good at drawing me into that playful place. And I just hope that everyone here knows the value of having at least one person in your life who can draw you into that playful place or out into that playful place, and that slowly we become that person for someone else, perhaps.
Yeah. It's the energy of which I live in that lights me up and that I thrive in. And knowing, our conversation today is about alignment in who we are as energies and as practical humans in the world. How do we merge the two? How do we be the aligned person in the life that we're living right now? And I love the knowing that my energy draws people into that. And that I have this ball and people are saying, can I play with you? And I'll be like, yes, you can.
Yes, that's totally Kat. You walk into a room, you were not holding a ball, but you were holding, I don't know, like some big board yourself, weren't you? Some easel thingy?
Yes, because I was playing Pictionary. That was the contribution that I had to the staff meeting, was can we get to know each other through Pictionary? And it allowed for people to be different than they typically show up in a professional environment.
Right.
And we worked a lot with children, and so it just paired really well.
We haven't even told people exactly what this episode is about.
We haven't.
But this ties like totally full circle into it. And I think I'm going to ask you this question later. But you came in 16 years ago when we met into an office setting where we're like counselors. You have a certain identity, I guess you're expected to uphold, or that an image you attach with what a counselor does and how they show up. And you decided, I'm going to bring in a big easel and play Pictionary with these people who, I want to add, you didn't even know, right? Because you were new. You were like brand spanking new in the agency. Yeah. And I'm going to ask you this question after the thing we do here today.
Okay.
About like what you knew about yourself 16 years ago and how this framework has now confirmed or strengthened some deeper knowing that you have about yourself. Yeah. Okay. So we'll come back to that.
Yeah. Perfect.
So what are we here to do today is you get to be a fly on the wall for a human design reading that Kat is going to do for me about me and my oldest? Like that we're
mainly focusing
on him. My oldest.
Because the next segment is your youngest.
Oh, he's going to get a separate one on his own?
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Every individual is an individual.
Okay. So Kat is a human design reader amongst many other amazing things that she is talented in. And so she's going to show us, or actually give me a reading about me and my son and how we can thrive together as mom and son and as individuals. And you're going to get a little like seat, a cozy seat next to us while this all happens. And before we dive into that, can you say, Kat, something for the people who are like, what the heck is human design? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, great. Thank you. So human design is a tool. It's a little woo-woo and a little practical. So if you're on the fence of like, I'm skeptical, how do I know this is true? Trust me, that's where I started. And as you listen, as it unfolds for yourself, I invite you to listen for the moments that resonate for you. And human design is this wonderful tool of awareness. It gives each person their individual signature of how to make choices that are in alignment with who you are determined to be in this world. It teaches us how to communicate. It teaches us the most aligned way of saying yes or no to things.
Mm-hmm.
And so the best way I can explain it is if you've ever had someone invite you to something that you're like if I said, Georgie, would you, well, you're pretty open to a lot of things, but if I said, Georgie, would you like to go and climb Mount Kilimanjaro with me with no training? There'd probably be an aspect of you that says, not really. But because we are conditioned in our life, specifically females, to please the people around us or to be kind or not a burden, we typically say yes to the things that are really no's. And so human design, for me at least, has given me permission to be strong in my no's and to be firm in my yeses. And that carves my life in a way where I feel so in touch with myself.
Mm-hmm. So really what you're saying is it's a tool that helps us understand ourselves better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I love it. Now, I have had a human design reading before, and I've read here and there and, little sprinkles. I wouldn't say that I really have the ins and outs of it, but it really has changed my relationship with myself to help me bring more compassion and acceptance to myself in a way that I never expected something that I would have once thought was just woo-woo and wacky to be able to do. And what I love about it is you don't have to take it as truth. That's not what this is about. This is not like something outside of you defining who you are, right? Yeah. Okay.
I love what you said about it's a tool to give you clarity into who you are. Because it's like if I came to you and I said, would you like ice cream? And you said yes. And human design is, well, would you like vanilla or chocolate? And in the moment, you might feel like vanilla. And in another moment, you might feel like chocolate. But it allows us to practice bringing forth the awareness of presence.
Right.
When the world is inviting us consistently to do or be or have many things. And so it simplifies it.
I remember a time in my life where I believed myself to be a very poor decision maker. And I think a lot of that was conditioned into this belief I carried because I grew up in a home where it felt like someone was always deciding for me. And it didn't really matter what I felt, how I felt, or what I needed, or what my preference was. And so I grew up, and plus this huge people pleasing part of me, right? So I really thought that, man, I'm really crappy at decision making. And I wish when I began to sort of dismantle that belief and discover my skill in decision making and what I take as information, that I had this tool. I didn't have this tool at the time yet. But since human design has come into my life, I feel that I've exponentially gotten to know myself and the way that feels right for me to make decisions. Like that's become so much clearer.
Yeah. And I think when you've experienced that for yourself and you have children of whom you're trying to do right by who they are, this information doesn't cause me to change myself in any way, but it informs me of what my kids may need and what is my conditioning versus what is in their chart.
Right. Yeah.
Right. As you speak about cultural expectations and living by other people's decisions, it allows me to pause and say, well, what is the decision you'd like to make for yourself?
Yeah. Imagine growing up as a child and your parent or whoever's the adult in charge says, what is the decision that you would like to make for yourself? Not to say that that's for sure allowed or possible or safe or the wisest,
Totally.
but imagine being invited to be curious about that and then to express it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the space that creates for a human being to pause. It really is about the pausing and not the automatic reaction. In Buddhism, we call it the difference between reacting and responding. And so human design allows us to respond accordingly.
Right.
Versus that knee-jerk reaction based on maybe what we have in the background of our mind of who we are supposed to be for this person, or, fears of, I don't want to disappoint them. And it really gives us an opportunity to see, well, these are my two choices. Which one do I want to make?
Right. Amazing. And we'll chat a little bit more about the why and how of bringing in human design into parenting, right? Which is sort of where we're going in today's episode. But if we backtrack a little bit, because we were just talking a little bit about an intro to human design for those of you who are not familiar yet. What about for the skeptics who are like, this sounds too woo-woo, or it crosses, has crossover with astrology, and I think that's way out there. What do you say to the skeptics, and how can human design still be practical and useful to someone who might not fully be like, oh my gosh, this is it. This makes so much sense to me. I really want to let this guide my life.
Totally. I love that question, because I remember when you had introduced the concept of human design to me. And at that point, I felt like I was quite an open person, willing to try a bunch of stuff. And as I delved into human design, I was like, I don't understand it. And in that not understanding, that's where the skepticism lives. Right? And so for people who are just learning about it or skeptical about it, human design is rooted in the Kabbalah, the I Ching, and the ideas that the energy of the planets upon your conception were infusing the world with a certain kind of energy. And we know that energy creates and moves things in the world. We know that the moon moves the tide of the water, but we don't necessarily know how. We know that it does. And so the way human design has worked well for me is focusing on the things that help. Traditionally, human design is described in more of a negative fashion, but the way that I do my readings and what I see from people's charts, it's almost like there's these golden nuggets that shine out. And it's more of an affirming reading of the things that you know about yourself that you just can't quite get to because of the conditioning that's in the way.
Oh, yes. The things you know about yourself, whether loud or quiet, but something's in the way that's fully allowing you to live from that place and to embody that part of yourself.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. I love how you phrase that, because that was exactly my experience with human design. When I learned what my design is, I was like, what? Now I don't have to feel bad about being this way. That's just my magic,
100%.
And I had already been doing a lot of self-compassion work at that time. So it wasn't that I was like, no, something's wrong with me, but this added that extra layer of self-acceptance, self-compassion. And I would say it's like the sprinkles on top, the celebrating the magic of who I am. That's different than, I think, self-acceptance and self-compassion. Yeah.
Yes. My favorite part is when my clients have a moment when they're in awe of who they are. That is my absolute favorite part. It's that they get this moment of seeing and remembering. Your soul is remembering who it is, who it came here to be, and the permission that remembering provides for someone to be brave when they need to give themselves love and generosity and forgiveness when they need to. It's just it's a door that you get to walk through.
And you're like helping open that door, right? For the skeptics and the believers.
And that's the thing, is that as a reader, I'm not telling you, I'm not psychic. I'm not telling you a whole bunch of stuff that I'm like, oh, in the sky and the stars and all this stuff. There's many people who probably can. I'm not one of those people. My gift is simply that I get to look at your chart and I get to tell you all the wonderful, amazing things that you might, like, underneath it all, know about yourself. And I just get to remind you that those are the good aspects, the kindness, the generosity, the auras of which are around you. And that's why this is such a gift that I'm so honored that I get to present with you, your child, this person who you brought into the world. And we have such a feeling of responsibility for them.
Yeah.
And human design provides this. It's not only my responsibility. He also has his own journey. I no longer need to craft it for him. I no longer need to be the only person responsible.
Like, just a weight as a mother, and you and I have taken motherhood really seriously because there were things that we were gifted from our mothers and families that we loved and things that were harder to love about those experiences. And we really went into motherhood wanting to be very intentional about what we want to create, what kind of experience we want to create for our children. I think first and foremost, you and I, we always agreed on the importance of letting our children become who they're meant to become. And human design is such a great way to, like you said, almost have a partner in doing that and not feel like all alone and I'm solely responsible to create this magical life for this human. That's a lot. And we tend to take that on as mothers anyways, right? No one asks us to, but we just do. And so this has given me a way to like sit back in my seat a little bit more and enjoy my child a little bit more and understand him more and trust the journey more. So, you know, it's done so much for me as a mom. And I think before we sort of get into the juicy of this reading, I really wanted to say that whether you are really into human design already and you're seasoned in your understanding of human design, or you're a total newbie, you are so lucky to get to be a fly on this wall with Kat, specifically with her. Like, yes, I'm here too, but really you have a magic in the way, not just that you see people, but in the way you deliver like who they are, like that remembrance that you're talking about. The way you remind someone of what's inside them is so beautiful. It's playful, it's funny, it's heartwarming. And so I think you bring an element to just who you are as a person. You bring an element to your readings that I think is very special and very unique.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So
on that note, outside of the tears that are flowing from my eyeballs,
this is about my kid, my oldest, my firstborn. He's 15. And, you know, if you've listened to the Wholehearted Loving podcast that I co-host with Stephanie, you'll have heard about this guy and you'll hear a lot about him in this reading that Kat's going to do for us, for me, for you, for us.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. How do you want to dive into this?
So I want to preface that while you and I have been friends for 16 years, I don't actually know Kai very well. Right. So I know Kai through the stories of which you tell me. And when we tell stories about people, we tell them from, and we can't help it, but we do tell them from our lens, our point of view, right? Your point of view as his mom and the commitments that you have for his life. The stories are flavored or filtered through that lens. And so when we look at human design, I was able to see who Kai is as an individual. And he's 15, which means that when he reaches 21, the human design aspect of his life, where he goes from child to young adult or even adulthood, there will be such a transition point. So I love the timing of this, right? I love that we get to learn more about our kids and then implement silently the things we know will work and allow them to grow and thrive in this environment of, you've got this and I've got you. Yeah.
You've got this and I've got you. I mean, how many kids and teenagers would have loved to have heard that from their parents? You've got this and I've got you.
I think that's the magic of our work together, is that for our listeners, I hope you can start to get a pattern of Georgianna and I choose things for ourselves that heal parts of our inner child.
Yes, we do.
And and that is really what drives our learning, what drives our transformation. And in that learning and education and then becoming wisdom, we love the idea and the ability to be for others in that same way. And so when I say things like that, it's really the things I would love to have heard from myself. I've got you and you've got it. You just go right ahead, right? Like I wish that someone had held my heart and said, you've got this and I've got you.
Yeah.
And so in this reading, I've got you.
Amazing. Got you. And the universe, the timing, this kid who we're going to talk about just walked into the house.
Awesome.
Like he knows his ears are burning.
Totally. And so prior to the reading, you gave me some information, of which all human design readings require. So that's his date of birth, the time of birth to the most specific minute, if possible, and the location or the city of his birth. So we got all that information prior. And what it does is it shoots out what we call a body graph. And so I'm going to share with you a visual of what his body graph looks like. So let me know if you can see.
Yes, I can see it.
This on the screen here. So when we talk about human design and Kai's human design, we see that we have the body graph in the middle, and the body graph is separated into 9 centers, and they mirror your chakras with 2 extras. So, and on the right-hand side are a bunch of numbers, and on the left-hand side are also a bunch of numbers. The difference between those numbers are the personality is who you know yourself to be in this world. It's like the character you play in this world, knowing full well that that serves you. The design is who you would be without the conditioning, without the expectations. This is sort of the purest form, or your soul's purest design.
Okay.
That's your unconscious way of being. So there are things like, for him, unconscious ways of communicating that as he gets older and starts to delayer, he'll discover for himself. And with human design, it's a lifetime, right? So it changes, it evolves as the human changes, as the human evolves and learns and is with different people. So I wanted to ask you if anything right off the bat you have a question about.
Well, I had this moment of delight just looking at it. And again, I'm familiar a bit with human design, but really not very well versed. But I saw that the top 2 and the bottom 2 are colored in, amongst others. But I'm like, oh, I think mine are like that too. I think I have a defined head, or something. Up top is defined. Root maybe is too. So I'm like, oh, do we have that in common? So that was my first inkling of something.
Yeah, definitely. And so to answer your question, yes, you do have the top 2 are defined. And when Georgianna says defined, it means that they're colored in. They're energy sources of which you can pull from on your own. So you have that energy running through your body at all times. So it's kind of like fuel that you have to ignite those parts of your body. The top part being your head. That's where a lot of your insights and new ideas and possibilities come through. And then the triangle underneath it is called your Ajna center. That's where all those insights and thoughts actually start to process and become manifestable things in this world. And with Kai, what we see, I'll increase it a little bit here, is we can see, I don't think I can. Oh yeah, okay. That there is a colored column right here. And that is a channel, which means that there's just a free-flowing energy from himself, going from what's possible to how do I make that work? What's possible to how do I make that work? And he's constantly living in that energy of what's new, how can I make this better? And you share the same with him of what's new, how can I make this more efficient? How can I make this better for everybody? And then you also share this root center definition, which is your area for groundedness. And then you also share the spleen, which is the area for intuition, fear, and primal sources of knowings. Other than that, Kai has also his sacral center, so his desire center. He definitely is driven a lot by, I want this. How do I make it happen?
Makes me laugh. Like, okay,
I don't know if that's true, but he definitely is driven by his feelings. How does he emotionally feel about this thing? And his feelings ground him. So when his feelings are validated, he feels grounded and safe. And I don't know if that has shown up in the 15 years, but
completely. He's a child that when he was very young was already very expressive with his feelings, even when he had no words. Like everything was loud and seemingly out of proportion to what was happening.
Yeah. Which in his chart, he goes from silent to hyperactive, isolation to I'm out in the world.
Yeah, he can turn on a dime.
Yeah. He's able to go ping pong between those two, which is a little like a Jekyll and Hyde situation. But in his human design, it's very integral. The energy that the way he uses his energy is just right for him if he's using it in that way where I seek solitude and isolation.
Mm.
And I need no one to talk to me right now. I need to be alone. I need to like just be in my own energy and thoughts. And then the next minute he could be like, oh no, wait, there's a whole bunch of people, or there's this thing I want to do. And he's driven by this thought and idea.
I see that completely. Like completely. Like I've always wondered, I'm like, you know, the world wants to define you as, are you an extrovert or an introvert? You know? And I look at my kids and him especially, I'm like, but like, he's like really social and really, you know, into his friends and really chatty sometimes. And other times it's like, don't talk to me. I don't need to see anybody. I'm happy on the couch, not talking to a soul for a long time.
Yeah.
And like watching that get clearer and clearer as a mom has been really interesting. So, and what has amazed me is he is so clear. It's not murky for him. It's not like, maybe I want to go do something. It's, I don't want to do anything. Or it's like it's just, and he's so content, totally by himself. And then also can be really chatty and really engaged. I'm like, what? It is total like Jekyll and Hyde.
It is. And in the world, we're always coming up against what society deems as right or wrong. So as kids, we are ping-ponging ourselves in those bumpers. And up until this point, being able to be both of those things in the same human has been seen as there's something wrong here. And I love what human design provides for myself and my kids, which is, well, hang on a second. This isn't wrong for you. It's just not the way society says is the right way to do it. But what if we gave this a try for a little bit and see how you feel?
Right. Yeah. I like the invitation to try it out. It's also not saying this is how you are for sure.
Totally.
Right. It's just an invitation to be curious about, hey, do you notice that sometimes you really enjoy your solitude and sometimes you really want to be out there with people? And it's very clear for you, those two places. And he'd probably be like, yeah.
Yeah. And so as a parent, your doorway or your role could be, how will you know, Kai, when you're older and there's more demands, more people wanting, how will you know which area you need to be on? How will you know you need solitude? And will you be okay saying no to people and letting things go? Right?
Okay. Yes. So this is what I love. And I think it's because you and I have really been intentional about teaching our children it's okay to say no. Right? Because he is so good at saying no. He's so good at saying, no, I don't want to go out. My friends are doing this. No, not my thing today. And I was like, what? When you're like a people pleaser, afraid of losing connection, you don't say no.
Yeah.
He just
say yes and then no later.
Yeah. Like no. Or you say yes and then you just begrudgingly go and you put on a happy face. Like that's what I did. And like this kid does not do that. He's either a yes or no. And what's interesting is he'll say no. And then like my stuff will stir up, be like, are you sure? Are you going to regret it? Do you regret it now? Like your friends are having fun. And I don't say that to him, but I think that, right?
Which I love that you think it and don't say it, because I think, or at least I know with Kai, he is what we call a generator. There's 5 energy types and he is a generator, and generators live by the way we feel. But when we are questioned, of which I was questioned as a child constantly, are you sure? You should go ask someone. Is that the right thing to do? Did they say that was the right thing to do? And then you come back and you're like, I'm so confused. You muddle their compass.
Say that again. You muddle their what? You muddle their compass. Yes.
He is so calibrated right now. And at some point in his life, there will be moments where he's not calibrated.
Right.
As we all, like, this is life. We can't determine the rest of our future based on who we are right now. It just doesn't work that way. But are we adaptable in the change? Can we know what's right for us in the change?
It's just so wild watching this kid because he is so clear for himself. And like recently, you know, he's had hockey tryouts, lacrosse tryouts, and he's had to choose, you know, where are you going to focus your attention? Because you can't spread yourself and be at the highest level for both. It just doesn't work in your schedule. Your coaches want you to choose one. And he made a choice. And my inside mama gut was like, ooh, like, are you sure that's the choice you want to make? Does that make the most sense? Does that leave the most doors open for you? Like all the things you think as a parent, right? And like, I got into not harassing him about it, but a little bit of like, hey, have you thought about this? And hey, have you thought about that? And yes, he's a teenager, so I think some of it comes from that. But he was like, Mom, I've thought about it. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it, whichever way it goes. And I think as a mom, that was the part I was afraid of. Like, you're looking ahead as a parent, right? Of what could potentially happen. And are they prepared for how it could go either way? And what I noticed about him is he will make that feeling, like he will make that decision based on his feeling or knowing, and he's good with it. And he's good with it no matter the outcome. Like he doesn't sit there and sulk about the outcome of something he decided. And I'm like, I think I could really mess with that kid and turn him into one of those people who questions themselves and, oh, I regret that. And should I have? And if I didn't, and all the stuff. But I like try to be like, just zip it. He says he knows, so let him be.
Yeah. And I love in that story, you said multiple things. I'm going to unpack that a bit. In that you're practicing trust, right? We have had these kids, they're entering this age where we do have to trust more than we guide. And that kind of goes against your human design as a projector, because your gift is to be able to see the broad future. You can see everything that's coming that we as generators are like, but that's all murky. We're not over there. We're right here, right? We're step over step over step. Whereas a projector for you literally project your scope. And while you might see things that he can't see, there's no amount of conversation that will have him see it in the moment that he's trying to make this one decision.
Say that louder, please.
People in the back. There is no amount of communication that will have you feel like you can have him see what you see. He's just not built like that. You can train him to be that way. And I'm sure that will be a helpful, trait in some aspects, but his natural aspect, his natural way of navigating this life in the energy that he's in the human body skin bag that he's wandering around in, is step by step by step. He can only see, and typically generators, the few steps ahead of us. Do we know that's right? Yes, let's do that one. Because we have to trust that right feeling is going to lead us to the next right feeling.
Right.
And the next right feeling and the next right feeling. If he starts to adopt a different way, let's say he does start to future scope, he may start to curate his choices for what he sees in the future, but they may not be quite right for the right now. And that may lead to more feelings of feeling lost or helpless, or I just don't know what's happening.
Right.
And right now he just feels so secure, which he should be. He is doing his life based on his, what we call strategy and authority.
Right.
Your strategy.
So you're telling me this kid is so secure right now. And our fear-based conditioning, wants to go mess that up and rustle that up.
And of course it's in good spirits, right? You don't want him to make a mistake. You want him to have all of his options. You want to do all the things that our parents did for us, right? Don't make the same mistake that your sisters did. Make sure you just do what they do so that you can have an easier life. And that's just not how life works.
Right.
Especially between you and Kai, because who you are in this world are the trial and error experimenters, right? You live life by the lessons that you're taught, by the experiences that you have. So by telling him what to do, you're actually robbing him of all the wisdom that he gets to collect along the way of choosing and it's not right, choosing and it was right.
Right. Yes. So I have a question. So I'm a 1-3 projector, right? And I think that's a little bit of what you're saying is I'm meant to trial and data my life, and that's how I learn, right? I didn't realize necessarily, because Kai's profile numbers are different, that he has that element of try something, get data. So can you say more about that, please?
Yes. So what you're referring to is called our profile. Our profile is, if you imagine your life as a story, the profile is the character that you play in the story of your life. And so it gives you sort of your characteristics. So you are a 1-3, which is an investigator or a researcher. And then what we call the martyr, or the person who has to live life through trial and error. When you put those two things together, what you get is a human being who loves to ask why. You have a never ending, well, why? I want to know more. I need to know more. Tell me more about all of the things. And it's insatiable, right? Let's say before you go on vacation, you're the kind of person who is going to look up as much as you can to make sure that that vacation is researched and educated, and you've hit all the things that all the questions and all the things. And then you put it with the 3, and there's a little bit of this, okay, but I'm also just going to go and see how it goes, right? Yes. I'm going to have the information I have, but at the same time, I got to just figure this out somehow. And you marry the 2 together. And as you get to the age that we're at now, you get someone who becomes the wise sage, the person of whom has all this information. So people are gravitating towards you for answers because they know you've done this work. They know you've done the chat GPT and the internet search and the deep, rabbit hole research. And so they're like, oh, it's a shortcut. Georgianna is going to have the rightest answer to the question that I have. And I can trust her because I know she's done the due diligence. And also, she's probably made a couple mistakes along the way. So she has more information to add and layer onto them. Right? Kai is a 6-2, which before he becomes 30, 6 acts more as a 3, which is the trial and error. Right? He's a role model to people. But that role model is dependent on the wisdom that he collects as he grows to be 30, 35 years old.
Right.
The imagery I always use is that Kai has his backpack on his back. He goes through life and he's like, oh, that didn't work out. I'm going to put that in my backpack. Oh, that really worked out. Put that rock in my backpack. When he becomes 27, 28, he's going to dump that backpack out onto a table. And he's going to look at all of these experiences and all of these lessons that he has collected. And he's going to curate them and say, well, in the life that I'm going forward into, I'm going to take the ones that matter to me. He's going to hold each rock and he's going to say, you know what, walking down a dark, dank alley at 4 o'clock in the morning, not good, learned it. Let's put that one away. Let's not have to carry that one again. Right? But there could be a reoccurring thing that happens. Oh, my communication, I always get stuck on this. I still feel like I need to hold that one. And so then from 30 years on, he's going to live his life based on these values. That's where we get our values, right? 5 or 6 really basic commitments he has in his life.
Right.
And make choices informed by that.
That, like, I had sort of vaguely knew this about the 6-2 profile of how in the first 30 years of their life, it's more acts more as a 1-3 or, the trial and error kind of thing. Right.
Yeah.
And it really did help me as a mom. And I've had those moments come back to me of he's a 6-2. It means that, first 30 years, let this kid just do his thing. Be prepared as his mother to watch him like stumble and fall and be messy and figure things out and learn things that I could have told him. Right. And don't say I told you so. And that's been my parenting goal. And also what's been reassuring me of this is meant to happen. He's meant to learn his lessons, and sort of like what you said, don't step in and rob him of that. And also don't step in and make murky a system that's very clear and works for him that he trusts. It reminds me of this time when he was probably 3 years old. And he was on those run bikes, those bikes, those balance bikes that have no pedals, and like on this BMX track, just flying. And I was like, oh my gosh, right? But here I am trying to change the pattern from my family of origin, which is to let fear rule and like shut everything down because of what might happen to you, right? So I'm like, okay, let this kid, he seems skilled, he seems confident. He's built up to this. Let this kid just go up and down these big hills. And at one point he wiped out and I walked over to him. I could see that it wasn't an emergency or anything. I was like, hey, bud, you okay? What's happening? And he's brushing himself off. He's like, yep, I'm okay, Mom. Like, okay. And I could tell he was willing to engage. I said, oh, what happened there? He's like, oh, I was going too fast. Like, oh, okay. What? And I said, did you notice anything else? He's like, oh yeah, I was like looking to the side when I should be. He was like, I was looking to the side when I'm going straight. I said, oh, okay, well, what do you think might be more helpful next time? And he's like, yeah, next time I need to look where I'm going. I was like, fantastic. That sounds like a great idea, bud. And that was the extent of it. It was just a tiny bit of prompting to like have him bring to the surface what he gathered from that experience instead of all this, I told you so, you shouldn't have, what's wrong with you? Why didn't you look where you're going? Which is totally like instinctually as a parent, especially when you've been parented by very fear-based parents. What wants to come out of the mouth is, what were you doing? Why weren't you paying attention? You should be looking where you're going, all the things, right? And what's wild to me now is seeing how this trial and data takes form in his life as a 15-year-old kid now. And he's saying, Mom, I got this, right? I thought about it already, which is like the same thing as him being 3. Like, I got this, Mom. I thought about this. I can do this hill. And what's interesting was he was never a reckless child. He was very able to gauge, I have the skill set to do this, or this is just on that edge. And I think it's okay to try. And like, if I look back now at him, I'm like, oh, he's always known. He's always been a good gauge of what's good for him to try and what's not.
And I think that is the best part of knowing your child's human design when they're younger. Because a lot of our conditioning occurs when we're, under the roof of someone else, right? And so to be able to interject or even curate how that experience is for your child based on the thing that works for them and not for you, I think it's such magic. And also a gift to give the house as a total energy. Right? Imagine if all beings in your home were able to live in alignment with who they are meant to be and experience these highs of, that was just so right. Do you ever have, I call it a White Castle moment. White Castle is this hamburger. Anyways, it's the idea that you've been thinking about something and you are validated that it was the right thing for you. There is no feeling like it in the world to know that the choice that you made for yourself was the right one for you. And human design, specifically when we're kids, it's like they're just all about the right things for them.
Oh, yes. All children, I think, before they get conditioned, right?
Are all about, well, how come I can't eat candy before I go to bed? Right? Like, it just, anything is possible when you're a kid. And I love that you were able to be with yourself and be with how you were parented and offer something different. Right? The trust that it's not this way, but it could be this way. So we're going to give that a shot. And to know that Kai responds to the world around him from this very feeling, emotion-based place, I love hearing that because it sounds like, led him down this path of, well, that was just the right thing. Oh, let's redo that one. That was the right thing. Oh, that felt real good. Let's just keep collecting those moments where that makes me feel really good. Yeah. Because his navigation system, I call it the lighthouses, is frustration and satisfaction. So every decision that we hope that Kai makes is in a search for satisfaction. And I want to be really clear about it in that it's not joy, it's not elation, it's not excitement. It's purely just, did that satisfy my need for what it is that I wanted?
I can really see that in him when you say that, when you pinpoint the word satisfaction. Because yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just that's sort of what he's about. He's very chill.
Yeah.
And I think satisfied is sort of a chill energy, right?
It's a chill energy. Yeah, it is. And so we talk about for grown-ups, but kids as well, in that the minute you start to feel frustrated about something, that is your flag to say, ooh, something's not quite right here. Take a minute to pause. And just observe.
Yes.
What was the last choice you made? Was it a wholehearted yes? Because maybes are no's.
Right.
Right? In Kai. Because of the fact that it does take him primarily 24 hours to actually know exactly what it is that he's looking for.
So this would have been so helpful to know when he was younger. But
Okay.
I think because I'm a 1-3, I sort of tracked it and
Yeah.
figured it out that this is the pattern of he's highly emotional and he will make a big stink about something
Mhm.
that I know is a good idea. And I know that at one point he will see as a good idea. But
Mhm.
in that initial moment when it's happening or when I'm presenting it to him or setting a boundary, he loses his mind. Right. And I learned along the way, just give the kid some space. Like I said, like you said, validate and empathy goes a long way with him. When I don't make him wrong for his big outburst, and I do set the boundaries for being safe and
Of
respectful,
course. Mhm.
but I just let him have his big feeling about the thing and I get out of the trying to convince him energy
Mhm.
and I just trust the process. He is the one that always comes around. And he's
Mhm.
like, I think I'd like to do it this way. And that's
Mhm.
where, luckily, it doesn't come up in me very often anymore. But like, I was conditioned, I came from a household of I told you so's, right? And so it doesn't really come up for me anymore. I just know, like, oh, that's just how this kid is wired. Like,
Mhm.
let him have his little thing today. And
Mhm.
tomorrow or in 2 days, he's going to be really matter of fact about it. And it's going to be
Mhm.
crystal clear for him that that is the way to go.
Mhm. Yes.
Saves us all so much chaos.
It does. And I love that because 70% of the population are generators.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to likely have more interaction with generators than you will any other energy type. There's, manifestor, manifesting generator, a projector, and a reflector. So generators are the largest component. What I love that you're starting to notice as you look back, put the pieces together, right? The breadcrumbs, is that it was in the grappling of those emotional ups and downs that Kai was able to pull out and process. Well, why is this not working the way I want it to work? Why am I feeling these yucky feelings? And giving him the space to grapple.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's the grapple that creates the wisdom. It creates the resiliency. It creates I don't want to feel that way again. So
Right.
let's
Yeah.
find a more efficient way to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And from someone who comes from a C kind of family, right? Don't even need any more words than that. Just see. It's a similar, I told you so. They're the same chapter. I grew up never wanting to make a mistake or make the wrong choice.
Mm-hmm.
But what I failed to know as a child that I discovered through my human design was that the choices I made were right for me, just not right for the people around me.
Mm-hmm.
And thus not right.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that Kai, he's creating the space to pause. And that's probably what he's doing in his isolation. Not probably, it is what he's doing in his isolation. He's processing, he's pondering, he's having his own tantrum,
Mm-hmm.
right? Without the emotional rolling in the mud anymore.
Right.
The tricky part with those of us who do that is that there could be an area of rumination and worry that is no longer helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And so the harder or bigger the risk of decision, the longer he may spend in his isolation and in his mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's more factors.
Right.
And your role as his mom would be to check in, right? Not add anything, not subtract anything, but really just pull him back out of his mind and be like, is that enough? In a Buddhist concept, we call it, is it useful?
Mm-hmm.
Is the thinking that you're doing useful? Because there's planning thinking and then there's organizing those thoughts. But once it goes into worry, anxiety, and rumination, that is the suffering of which is no longer useful.
Optional.
100%. And so we are hoping that through practicing our human design, Kai will know, oh, okay, it's been too long. I'm now feeling really gross by these thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just go back to the point at which it was the clearest and make that choice.
I like that. Helping him go back to, even just to help go back to, when did it feel clearest? What felt the clearest?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm loving this because I'm noticing the areas where we're similar. It helps me be like, oh, I know what it's like to not like being told what to do and to like learning my lessons in my own way.
Totally.
So in that way, it helps with the empathy piece and the compassion, and it helps with the I'm okay and he'll be okay. And it helps with the, oh, look, we got something in common. That's a nice feeling to have. And then in the ways that we're wired differently, I see it as such a gift that I get to learn a different way of being, right?
Yeah.
And practice a different way of being. And it's like what you were saying earlier of allow Kai to sort of make his decisions in the way that he's sort of wired to make them. And yes, it would probably be a good life skill at some point to also grow the muscle of having a little bit more forward thinking, a little bit more bigger picture, right? And I see my gift of being able to see big and far away gets in the way of me like doing the laundry and washing the dishes. The things that are right in front of my face.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah, I agree. And I think that that's where I don't want to say balance, but it's juggling, right? It's knowing what is the priority right now. And sometimes the priority for him is going to be solitude. And sometimes the priority is going to be something else. But going back to his profile of 6'2", we didn't discuss the 2 part, which is what we call the natural. And Kai has this gift of knowing how to do things just naturally. And he's so effortlessly good at the things that he does that people are like, oh, wow, how? And when you ask him how, he struggles to answer the how. He's like, I just do.
Yep.
I just do.
I don't know.
But society requires us or requests of us to how. But how do you know that? Where did
Especially
you learn that?
a mother who's a 1-3
right?
wants to know how.
How, right? Where did you learn that? Who taught that to you? And his answer is like, nobody. I just know that. And it's really hard sometimes as a mother myself to look at my 10-year-old child and be like, you just know? Like in my head, I'm like, there's not a lot of exposure. How would you just know? But really, it is just this intuitive knowing of what are your strengths, what are you good at, what are you natural with. And for him, the things that he's natural with are empathy. He's very good at balancing independence and community.
Yeah.
He's exceptional when it comes to resiliency, to the point where because he's a 6, these natural things that he's practicing become wisdom to others.
It's so interesting that you say that, because I remember as he was in middle school, the last year of middle school, they stay in the same pods, they call it, right? So you're sort of with the same kids. And then they had to change it all up for some reason, for some administrative reason. And Kai was the kid out of his whole friend group that got pulled out of this pod and put in a totally different one in like grade 8. And, as a mom, you're like, you don't want that for your kid. You want them to get to stay with their friends and whatever. But also, like, from an intellectual place, I understood it. I'm like, Kai's the one who's easygoing. Like, he's fine. He loves his friends, but he's also totally okay making new friends. And he's not as emotionally and not having those people in your class every day. He will find his way to stay connected. He doesn't feel left out, and it was really neat. I was like, that's why, like, all the moms, we're like, oh yeah, it makes sense that Kai is the one that got, sucks for him, but makes sense because he's that resilient kid. And recently his friends were talking, and one of the moms was out with them at the driving range, the golf course. And they're saying, like, Kai never gets too ruffled about anything. Like, he doesn't get too high or too low, just very matter of fact. And it's that resilience. He's like, yeah, that sucks. It's okay. It's a new day. That's finished.
Right?
And like,
if I could have a slice of that for myself, my gosh, the suffering that I would be like.
Yeah, it also means that I think sometimes he's had to learn that empathy piece, right? That other people are impacted more deeply by things that he's not really impacted by, right? And he's had to learn and is still learning, like, how to extend that empathy outwardly towards people. But his friends can even name it and see it as, that's sort of nice to never get too ruffled about anything.
I love that, his natural aspect or growth to leadership. That's really what this is about. The number 2 is this natural path to leadership. He probably will more often than not be the one that they take to create as an example.
Interesting. Okay.
Of what's possible, because of the fact that where he lives in his human design is what's new, what's possible here, how else can we do this? and not only attached to the realities of which we live in, but the way he thinks is what causes humanity to evolve, to innovate, to create
Yeah.
new from nothing. And at this stage, it's very dreamy,
It sure
right?
is. And
It's very like looking out the window, like kind of like really dreamy.
and you attach that with his emotionality, like the how it can, right? And he'll just get really frustrated about something about how the world works that's just so dumb to him. It makes
Yes,
no sense. And then he proposes how he thinks it should be. And
yes,
it's like so far in left field that you're like,
totally.
as a person on the planet, you're like, I really don't know how we're ever going to get to that point, but okay.
And I think that will be one of the challenges he experiences is in his adult life, is because his visions, while so true, cannot currently link to anything in the world that would make it real. The gap is the cause of frustration.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he's like, but it is so clear and easy. If we just did it this way, but there's currently no link, the key to that is he will hopefully surround himself with people who can create those links for him.
Right.
Right? It's a team effort of which human design lives in. It's, I love that you were talking about what your chart looks like with his, and I want to show you what your chart looks like
Okay.
with his, because we're always being impacted by the people around us as well as the environment.
Come back for part 2 next week. And as always, please do like, follow, and subscribe. If anything we've said here today has been helpful for you, please share with somebody that you care about. See you next time.